Safety Emergency Management to order. This evening, I have 5 motions this evening. The first being from the docket of March 3rd, 2020. I entertain a motion to approve the expending of funds in any future grant amendments by the Attleboro Fire Department for the FY 2020 Student Awareness and Fire Education SAFE Grant and the FY 2020 Senior SAFE Grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for approximately $8,393.
Second.
This grant is something we get every year. There's no matching funds, and we spend it on educating our seniors and our students in the different schools with different programs. We're very successful in the past.
Love it.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the transfer of $13,923.60 from account 1124100-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 12201-000-515075 Fire Earned Time Payment for an unexpected retirement of a fire department employee.
Second.
This is all contractual, and evidently this gentleman, they hadn't put him in the budget for transfer, for retirement, so the need is for the money, and it's contractual for unused sick time, vacation time, whatever. Any questions on that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, excuse me, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the Police Department regarding the need for funds to conduct mandatory medical examinations and purchase equipment and uniforms for 6 new candidates. Therefore, please transfer $10,200 from account 1124100-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to the following. Account number 1210100-530104 Police Medical Screening, $4,200, and account number 1210100-558310 Police Uniform, $6,000.
Second.
This particular item is necessary. We lost 6 recruits who were scheduled for the academy. All 6 failed their medical exams. So we're back to square one with 6 new recruits. And I was in conversation with the chief about this, and he said I asked a simple question. It seems simple, but evidently it's not. I said, when you interview a recruit, can you require him to have a pre-medical? And he said, no. It's got to be done by the state, under state guidelines, because it's civil service. We have no choice in that. So there were minor stuff that was found in a couple of the things the recruits didn't even know. So the state's very critical on that, not to put somebody on that 6 months down the line could be collecting a pension for the rest of their lives. Yes, Mr. DeLisio.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a situation too where you can't look like you're going into an interview biased, which is part of why you can't really ask for any of their screening. We deal with that in my other life as well, to a much lesser extent. The other thing I'd say is just the expense that's tied to the medical screening. I know I've kind of been squeaking that wheel for a little bit, and it's something I'm going to continue to look towards, because it's just, I don't know, it seems to be an awful lot, especially we're out the money too. So we're out the money with the failed screenings, so I think it's something that we need to continue to look at and see how we can make appropriate changes.
I don't want to quote him word for word, but he told me that there was nothing he could do about getting some pre-screening before
Right.
he gets done, you know? I think one was, and I'm not mentioning any names, and he didn't either, but one was strictly color blindness. And the applicant didn't know he was colorblind. You know, so that's how simple it could be.
That can happen.
Yes, Mr. Covers?
The one thing for next week, if we could talk to the chief and ask if there's a way to do the medical screening before purchasing the uniforms, so that if they do fail the medical screening, we're not out that.
I think
that money.
that's, I'll check on it, but I think that's the program. You don't fit them for the uniforms till you get ready to ship them to the academy.
Okay,
So
yeah,
the
if we could just
medical-
double check.
Yeah, the medical does come first, I believe, Todd, but I'll double check on it
Thank you.
for you. All right?
Council Blair, may I
Yes.
ask a question? Are any of these medical conditions things that may dissipate or disappear down the road that they could retest, so the money's not completely, would they come back, I guess?
I think these guys are going,
That's it then?
yeah. You know, we can't, I know we're short on help in the police department, as it is, so, you know, it's been a real struggle. Kathleen, we've gone through, I venture to say, to fill these, we've looked at probably 600 applicants on the list. They keep sending them down, I forget 40 or 50 at a time, but we've done it to get qualified people. It's very, very hard. Yes, sir.
I was wondering if the, as I read it, maybe I misread it, the information we had received. Was it possible that any of them failed the physical for other reasons, that they just weren't in shape?
Point of order,
You-
Mr. Blair, it doesn't
I
matter.
know it. You
It
can't,
doesn't matter. They didn't pass the
Yeah.
medical criteria, they didn't pass.
Okay.
We should not be getting in this forum, into the reasons why.
you shut me right off,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President. I was about to say that the law doesn't
Withdraw the
doesn't
question.
allow us to ask medical questions. Okay, all set? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes, thank you. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to transfer $3,665 from account 1124100-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer, to account 1210100-585040, police equipment, for a police department to purchase a traffic data collection counter.
Second.
This particular piece of equipment, we usually get from Serped to borrow, and it's very, very it's got very difficult to get it, and to meet their criteria, sometimes, you know, they get picky. This piece of equipment will help us to determine where the speeders are, where the counts are. We'll have it, it'll be, you know, readily available. It would be a great help to our traffic enforcement throughout the city. So, sounds like a weird piece of equipment, but you've all seen it around when the state puts it out. And for us to be able to grab it, put it out, it will help to control traffic. Yes?
If I could just add, Council Blair, it's necessary, especially with all the attention that speed calming devices and measures have been getting lately. And if I understand, I think Serped only has a couple, and one of which might be on the Fritz. And with Serped, it's not just Attleboro, it's surrounding communities. This gives us our own, so it gives the police department that opportunity to be a little more proactive. as
Yeah,
opposed
much
to
more
reactive.
aggressive in traffic control with our own piece of equipment, so we can get the record straight. And
Yeah.
Kyle said it's real hard to get this piece and borrow it. As you know, trying to borrow a hammer from your next door neighbor is sometimes tough. Imagine trying to borrow a piece of this equipment that everybody in the state's looking for. Yes, sir.
Is it possible that the addition of a traffic counter in the city of Attleboro might lead to additional grants for traffic enforcement?
It might, because the numbers would be there.
Yeah,
I mean,
collecting the data would be.
logically, I would say when you're looking for some of these grants, you've got to have facts and figures and numbers. And I would assume this wouldn't be of any harm.
But you don't know whether or not traffic count is a part of the grant application
I'll ask.
process? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Kate?
I did speak with Superintendent Tyler, because he does have one of these. But his is the type that lays on the ground, and I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the chief is looking for one that attaches to a pole, and you just pull the little, what's that little USB card out, and it tells you how many cars, how fast, da-da-da-da-da, gives you the whole thing. So even
one-
though highway has their own,
The one the highway has, I don't think does speed. It does traffic counts probably.
yeah,
The one
that's
that
the type that lays on the road.
Yeah, that's, I think more a traffic count. This is a multi-purpose machine that's gonna give you speed, numbers, much more sophisticated than theirs. Yes, Mr. Alicia?
Through the chair, Mr. Concha, if I could, I think there are several types of grants, and I think that, as we've seen over the years, the police department has gotten pretty efficient at the grants. You know, we have one grant this week. I think we had one 2 weeks ago. Any piece of data that can help, especially with traffic calming, as you're seeing that continue to evolve, and some of these other grants that they put in for, I think, to your bigger point, yeah, I think it would help, but I would just caution, there's several types of grants, several types of data that's used to help the police department in order to go and obtain those grants.
If I may. So, the reason why I was asking the question is because I'd like to know if there are specifically grants that require traffic counts in them. Because if there are, it's easier to justify spending the $4,000 to buy the device. And if they're not, the chief probably could still make a good case for buying the device. But for me, I could justify it better if I could feel that there's some grants that will come down the road as a result of it.
I'll ask them, I'll get in touch with them, see if it'll help them filling out grant applications, that they've got something they can go to and log right onto quickly.
Money's tight.
Any other comments? Yes,
Yeah,
James?
Money's tight, 100%, and, you know, I just had an interesting conversation with the auditor prior. Money's tight. You know, we don't know what that budget's gonna look like yet. I'm with you, we need to be scrutinizing over every piece of equipment that comes down. I just think for the safety piece of this, for what we can do with different pieces, where we've all received comments and calls from residents talking about speeding, talking about traffic across the city, especially at certain times of year. I think this is a tool that's necessary for the police department to have on their own. I think, yeah, absolutely. If we can get a return on the investment, that's what we need to be looking at. But I think return on investment from a dollars and cents point of view is one thing, but when we look at it as safety and saving lives and preventing accidents, I think that's another return on investment we need to be aware of as well. That's just kind of where wasn't trying to be argumentative, but kind of where I was coming from.
You know, any other questions or comments? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'd like to strike a motion from the docket. A request to study and recommendation on speeding and lighting issues on Rockland Avenue and West Street.
Second.
The police department the police department's done a great job on this. President Cooper has been by there and seen people stop. My wife went to Target today. There was one stopped on the way up and one stopped on the way back. And I talked with the lady that made the initial complaint, and she was very pleased with the action that's being taken. And I told her if she's seen any need for it or it got back to where it was, to please contact us, and the police department's more than happy to get somebody down there to look at it. Yes, Mr. Lucio.
Have we thought about a traffic data collection counter?
She even said that she'd be willing to let a police cruiser park in in her driveway. But they've been real good, and she appreciates everything that's been done. Yes, Mr. Cooper?
Thank you for taking this on and increased enforcement in that area. Did the chief or Mike Tyler have any additional lighting or signage recommendations for that area?
I asked Kyle, and I said, is there anything else you can do down there signage-wise or whatnot? I think he felt there was adequate signage there. It's just the ignorance of the people going by not paying attention to the signs. You know, a few tickets, a few fines, even if they don't get stopped, they see somebody on the side of the road being, you know, questioned or written up. It's got to help. Enforcement is the key. The problem is we just don't have enough people out there. We get an area, we get hot on it for a while, and it calms it down. But, you know, if it comes back, we go back out.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
That finishes all the business for public safety and emergency management. Move to adjourn at 7:15.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Transportation and traffic is canceled for this evening. I have not met with the Traffic Study Commission since the last committee meeting. I'm meeting with them, however, on the 5th, and I should have more to report after that meeting.
I'd like to call the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee meeting to order at 7:16. I have two motions and two discussions to engage you in this evening. Sitting on this committee is Vice Chair Waterman and Member Dolan. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the appropriation of $75,000 from account 600-35900 through wastewater enterprise fund retained earnings to account 6000-578350 wastewater enterprise fund landfill expansion to conduct a study to determine the best option for future sludge disposal at the wastewater treatment facility.
Second.
Thank you, Council Waterman.
You said 878 instead of 87 on the account number, just to note that.
So it's 587350?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I had in writing. So this is design, actually it's not even design, it's just a feasibility study. I believe we covered this during the capital improvement meeting with Tom. But it's step one of a very expensive process to find some place to put sludge in the future. Do you have any questions? Motion's in order, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to move to strike, okay? That's not what's in your dockets, but I'm moving to strike the request of the mayor to lift the facade restriction on 135 County Street in order to sell the building and eliminate the upkeep and cost of the vacant building.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Council Waterman. The reason why I am moving to strike, councilors, is in this long piece of paper that I gave you before the meeting started. If you would refer to this, please. The story of the 135 County Street building, high school, the old high school building, is one of highest and best use. Had a long conversation with Catherine Feerick, which you can see my handwritten notes on the spreadsheet. The motion was brought down from the mayor because of this spreadsheet, that it is costing the city in excess of $70,000 a year just to keep the building sitting there. And the expenses are vacant insurance policies, the master box antennas for firefighters, they had a leak in the roof. The fire alarms need to be inspected quarterly. The boilers have to be prepared for winter season. The lights around the building have to be lit, and the electricity inside the building has to be kept up. And Columbia Gas has to keep gas to the building to fire the boiler. So you can readily expect somewhere near $70,000 to be expended again next year. However, the highest and best use of this building is one of which it is most likely to become either market rent apartments or mass development, what's called workforce housing or affordable housing. In the case of market development, if you would refer to the first page of this that I gave you, you will see there's a list of 27 developers who expressed an interest in this building. So these are the people who responded to the website request for proposal to come up with an interest in the building, and led to none. I talked to one developer, and I'm going to talk to more developers, but my conversation with Catherine Fierick led me to this point to ask you to strike the motion. Because this building very unlikely will ever be market rate apartments. Think of Renaissance Station. It's never going to be a Renaissance Station. And the reason why is because of the intrinsic characteristics of the building that are in the way. The way it's sitting on the land that it's associated with, the way the land is associated with a parcel across the street, the way that the center of the building has a large basketball court and swimming pool. Is that what's in there? I don't remember. There's a big obstruction in the middle of the building that is extremely expensive. Added to the fact that there's definitely asbestos in that building, there's definitely lead in that building, and the cost to mitigate those hazardous materials, as we've seen from gym floors, is likely to be astronomical. So market renting is probably out of the question. Workforce development, affordable housing, mass development is a project that takes a long time. Think about the fishnet building. Developers who are interested in this building for mass development have to do an analysis of the building, make a proposal, present it to the mass development for funding, for granting. It is in competition with all of the other cities and towns in the Commonwealth, and if we're selected, we get the grant. So Renaissance Station North and Renaissance Station South were both mass development projects, and they're market rate housing. But in this case, the intrinsic characteristics of the building are so expensive that it's not likely to be that fancy. Our restriction to keep the facade on the front of the building at this point is not an issue with the developers. The issues with the developers, what's the highest and best use? What's the cost of the hazardous waste mitigation? What's the cost of getting around that swimming pool and basketball and making it into something that, how much? How many units can you put in there? And mass development sets the pricing. So if you think about the factory at Watson Factory on Mechanic Street, that senior housing is all market rents set by mass development because they were the ones that lined up all the funding to rehabilitate that factory. The same thing would happen with the old high school. Under the mass development program, the developers would make a presentation to mass development and they would secure the funding through mass development. It's typically through a third party. So, number one, I consider Catherine Fierick an expert in the field. Number two, I've looked at the building from a highest and best use analysis. Number three, I've talked to one developer, I've got 27 more to talk to. I'm telling you, at this point, the facade is not an issue in this house. Now, if down the road, someone gets into the project and gets into it thick, where they've done an architectural analysis of the strength of the building, and they've done a feasibility study, and they come to the conclusion that the facade has got to go, I'm sure this council would entertain a motion to get rid of the facade. But at this point, this is not necessary, and that's why I'm asking for a strike. And that concludes my comments. Do you have a question? Do you have a question? I'll take your question, Councilor Cooper.
So, Richard, thank you for your review and analysis of this. Only one thing that I heard from a developer about the facade restriction was that there were no windows on the front of the building, right? And so my response to that was, well, come back and show us what you want to do to add windows that would fit into the character of whatever it is you're doing. So in terms of changes to that, what is the current facade with no windows, if they needed to add windows, but they were preserving and making something that was a benefit to the community, I think we would be likely be in support of that over demolishing the building and selling the land. So I appreciate that. And you use the fishnet building as an example. The example I would use is the Bliss School, right? It sat empty for, God, 20 to 25 years. It was falling down. The roof was falling in. And look what it is today. So, and much of it was preserved. A lot of it was added on to. But the front of the Bliss School looks like the front of that building today looks like the old Bliss School. So I appreciate your work on it. I think it was, it was something that I was sort of struggling with. What are we going to do? I'm glad you did this research and gave us this story. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I'd like to add something to your comments, and you tell me whether or not you agree. Developers by nature are disparaging. Whenever you ask a developer about anything, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, but this is in the way, that's in the way, I got to do this, this is a problem, this is an issue, I can't see how we're going to get around that. That's their nature, because they're looking to disparage the value of the property as much as possible to maximize their profit in the purchase. And I'm glad to see you shaking your head in an affirmative nod, because it's pervasive in the developer industry. I have these contacts. I am going to contact these people, and I'm going to work as a sidekick to Catherine. She's got a lot of other things going on, but I am interested in hearing what these people have said about their experience in looking at the building. When I am done with that, I may have something else to say to the council on capital improvements and city development, but for now, I'm asking you to strike the motion, I'm asking you to strike the motion to lift the facade restriction. Okay, is that clear? Any other discussion? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that update, Councilor Conti. I'm very relieved to hear this. Do you think that the facade could potentially be a benefit to some developers, keeping that facade?
I don't know. Because
when I'm looking at this and just seeing other places, they can tap into community block grant money. There are grants to keep a structure, and so I'm just really hoping that we can save this building.
That may be. That may be. But if they were there, the facade would be saved regardless of whether or not it was a restriction from the council or not, because it would mean more money in the developer's pocket. Yes.
Forgive me, this is an obvious question, then why is it still sitting there unsold with 27 bids? What do you understand to be the primary obstacle? Because I don't see it.
The obstacle is moving the material through mass development. Mass development is a big organization, it's a bureaucracy. It has a lot of requests, it has a lot of standards, it has a lot of regulations, it has a lot of criteria that you have to meet. And some of these people specialize in that, exactly that, and other people are getting into it. And the ones that are getting into it have a lot to learn, and I'm not certain, and that's why I got this list with the contact information, to find out just how familiar are you with your mass development and how far are you planning on going with this, or are you dead in the water? It may be worst case scenario that the city's gonna have to expend some money to alleviate the hazardous material before it goes up for sale, but it's too early to make that call. Councilor Reynolds.
So I too want to thank you for doing this work, Richard. As you know, I'm a firm believer in that we should keep as much of that building as we can. And it is not a pool, there is just a basketball court. It's sunken, it's totally different than what's in any other school. But I spoke to a developer too who said that 1 year just isn't enough. It takes 2, 3, sometimes 5 years just to even get your name in there and to find out how much they might help you, what you might get. And so there's no way anybody would have bid on it because they just didn't have the time to find out what was going on yet. So I appreciate your time in this.
That falls right in line with my conversation with the developer I spoke to. Yes, Councilor Jackson.
Thank you. So I gotta guess, parking is like one of the biggest issues, because there isn't any parking at all for that building whatsoever.
It wasn't brought up in my conversation because it's walking distance to the train station.
Yeah, but they don't, but I'm just surprised at that, because there isn't any parking whatsoever. It's extremely limited. And these aren't actual bids. These are just people that downloaded, filled out the form,
Yes.
and that just have said, you know,
Yes.
I might have an interest in looking into it. So,
Yes, and
right,
they may
okay,
still
just
be.
want- yeah.
I wanna ask you, Councilor Jackson, did you see the plans for, 54 Union Street?
I have not.
They're available at the planning department. Take a look and see how much density there is in that building and how little parking. Yes, Councilor Reynolds.
So I just wanted, if I might, address to Kate about the parking. That lot that's across the street from it, Kitty Corner, is also for sale, and that's where the parking would be. That went along with the sale of
Yeah,
the
I remember
building
that
at the
when I
same
was,
time.
when I went to Brennan, and that's where we used to go hang
Yeah,
out.
and it's still there. There's still the lot there, and that's for sale
It's
as
a
well.
separate sale.
Mhm.
Got it.
No, it's part of this.
I'm sorry.
It's not a separate sale, it's part of this.
It's part of the sale, yeah.
It's one
That's the
parcel. I
sale.
believe it's one assessor's parcel.
Yes.
Oh, it is one. I thought it was two. I
Thanks.
thought he priced it separately when it came down, but
They should
whatever. It
obviously-
is there for the parking for the building.
Anything else? I'll call for a vote. All in favor of striking the restriction on the facade, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Passes unanimously. One last thing I'd like to discuss with you is the school parking lots, and I've given you a memo from Mike Tyler with some spreadsheets attached to it, and I've given you some photographs of the two schools. Now, a funny thing happens in the paving industry. There's two type of contractors. One type of contractor is the type of contractor that likes to pave large roads and consume 800 tons of paving material a day. That would be someone like Aggregate, I believe it's called Asphalt Aggregate. They're in the business of pushing 800 tons of asphalt out those machines every day. Then there are other companies like Walsh Contracting who will come and do your driveway, or come and do a parking lot, or come and do a small area like the city parking lot. And they're not so much concerned with how much they lay down for tonnage. They're more concerned about putting in the parking lot, make it look pretty. So they charge different rates. The aggregate company that's doing a big, long road, if you could get them to do a big, long road and take a little detour and do a couple little parking lots at the end of the day, you could buy their material at the same rate that you do the big, long thing, as long as they burn up 800 tons in a day. But if you call Walsh or an independent contractor to come in to do a job, their rate is almost 3 times the rate of the one who's moving the 800 tons. So I said to Mike, I said, what does the council need to do in order to give you the material that you have to negotiate, and it's a negotiation, with the salesperson from the asphalt company? What's it called? It's called Asphalt Aggregate. If the council were to send a message up to the mayor, Mayor, we would agree to expend this amount of money if you would release it in time so that Mike Tyler, when he's negotiating his contracts for July, can say to Asphalt Aggregate, I've got this plan for you. I want you to do this and this and this, these roads. And when you're doing this road, slide over to Hill Roberts and get the parking lots done. And when you do this road, slide over into Hyman Farm and get those parking lots done at the end of the day, and you'll have your 800 tons. Mike Tyler can't do that negotiation with Asphalt Aggregate unless we say in advance, we'll give you the money. We can't say we'll give you the money unless the mayor asks us to give him the money. So what I'm asking you is to consider at the next meeting in 2 weeks, a motion to appropriate $80,000 for the paving of the parking lots at Hyman Fine and Hill Roberts through the highway department in the summer of 2020. What are your thoughts about that?
Sounds very logical to me,
Cheap.
yes.
It's a lot cheaper. It's about $40,000 less than if we went out on a regular bid.
40,000 per lot or 40,000 total?
40,000 per lot. Councilor Cooper.
So the aggregate just a couple of things. In 2 weeks, I don't know how you do that. There's no business before your committee to do that.
Well, it's
But
a discussion.
Right. I mean, it would have to come down in next week's communication to go to the committee.
Actually, I was thinking that the committee would make a request of the mayor to send down a communication.
Well, you could do that as the committee chair, based on
Okay.
this discussion.
I wouldn't do it without the support of my committee.
I don't blame you, but, and the amount, for aggregate, if they did it, and the amount for Walsh was a delta of $40,000, is that?
Aggregate, asphalt aggregate sells their paving at $62.50 a ton, and Walsh at $160 a ton.
I get that, but if you look at, option B, City of Attleboro, Hyman Fine roadway, and option D, right? You see a total amount, estimated total cost of $82,312.50.
That's
right?
that's because, Counselor, on Hyman Fine, Mike Tyler's gonna have them do the roadway and the lots.
Who?
Yes,
Aggregate or Walsh?
aggregate.
But you're adding, the $82,000 includes $24,000 to Walsh and $58,312.50 to aggregate.
No, it's either or. You could
Okay.
either have asphalt aggregate do the roadway and the lots, consuming 933 tons
Got it.
of asphalt, or you could only have the 5 lots done for 150 tons with Walsh.
So the
I know, that
58 and the
confused
20
me
is
too.
78, which is where you got the $80,000 ask.
Correct.
Okay. So, let me sort of try to articulate my struggle.
Yep.
My struggle is, in my mind, it's lots of floors. Can we do both? Right? So we want to spend $80,000 on parking lots
And the roadway.
and the roadway, or perhaps X amount of money on floors.
Gym floors, yes,
Gym
two
floors.
different things.
I get it, but a lot of money.
A lot of money.
So my question is, do we pause the paving till we better understand the funding source of the floors? Because it sounds, what I've heard with regard to the floors is that we're probably gonna have to bond for that. So, if we're gonna bond for that, would we reduce the amount of the bond by, if we got $80,000 to spend on parking lots, would we reduce the amount of the bond by $80,000 and only do the gym floors? Right, I think there's a lot of levers here to pull.
Let's make sure we're on the same page. The parking lots and the roadway, we can do for $80,000. The gyms are $560.
I understand, but do we wanna bond the full 560 to do the thing, or do we wanna reduce that by 80,000 and wait a period of time until something else falls off the debt to fund the $80,000 for the floors at a later date and time?
So
What
I'm-
is the urgency in, they falling apart, or people tripping and falling? What is the risk if we didn't do the two parking lots at the elementary school, where it's only teachers driving, coming in and out, and parents, right? It's not kids, it's not the high school, it's not, I'm getting nervous about expenditure on things that we have to ask ourselves, do we really need to spend 80 grand fixing parking lots? We know we really need to spend money to fix gym floors, and we've gone from 150, 80-ish thousand to now over 500,000 to fix the same floors we thought a year ago were 180-ish thousand. It's almost doubled. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if I could support spending 80 grand on parking lots today.
And I hear. So I asked Michael Tyler if he had seen the parking lots, and he said yes. And I asked him what was the plan for the paving. He said, we're not gonna grind them, we're gonna just lay on top of them and raise the berms, and he's got a little device that raises the catch basins.
Yep.
So this is just putting a new layer on top of what's there. My thinking, as chairman of capital improvements and city development, I have millions and millions and millions of dollars in a plan that we accepted. And I agree with you that let's look at the things that really need to be expended. My plan was, and we did send the $560,000 of the floors up to the mayor, and the mayor's response was, I'll look around, see if I can find the money to buy them. It's the same with the parking lots. I'm asking my committee if we could put together a communication to the mayor saying, look, we need 80 for the parking lots, add that to the mix. You tell us what you send down what you think you want to fund. We're telling you that we think that the parking lot's only gonna cost $80,000, not the 128 we were talking about before. So my role was to try to do the groundwork, the field work, to figure out what was what, and to make sure we all understood exactly what we were talking about, throwing it up to administration, letting administration decide what they want to send down to the council, but to give them a feeling for how that would be received at the council. Follow me?
Yes.
And if he did send down the request for $80,000 for the parking lot, I would call for a tour of the parking lot to go see, just make up a live decision right then and there. Geez, he don't look so bad. I don't think I'm for it. Okay.
So I've been to both several times. Baseball.
Yeah,
and
you
other
would.
things, right? That's the age we're at.
I usually get there at
Basketball.
night.
And, you know, are they, you know, alligator cracking or whatever they call that? Yep. Are they in terrible condition? I don't think so. I've been in worse. I've probably been in better. It's more of an overarching theme around spending and what's in your plan. And is this an $80,000 priority one, urgent thing, capital expenditure that we should be making, given sort of everything that we know is needed? That's
the
all.
right questions to be asked. Those are the right questions to be asked.
And I appreciate your work on it, because you made what was, I didn't know what was up.
But now it's
That
clear.
or the school, and so I appreciate,
Now it's clear.
it's crystal clear.
That's where I wanted to get. Yes, Councilor Dolan.
So, I agree with President Cooper, and I wouldn't mind sending it up to the mayor with the information that you were able to get. But as far as requesting him to request from us, you know, I have pause too as far as our desperation for this, because I've been down there too, you know, and like President Cooper said, is it great? No, but are we desperate like we are for the other things that are in capital improvements? I'm not sure. I'd like to go on a tour again. It's been a little while since I've been down there, but I would be in favor of handing over this information to the mayor and letting him crunch the numbers and see what, you know, what him and his people feel should be done. Not really requesting that they request it from us.
Okay. This is the only time we get to talk, so I'm glad I'm hearing what I'm hearing. Councilor Blair.
I'm on board with President Cooper. I think we've got too many expenses coming up, that if we're gonna put a Band-Aid on a parking lot, and that's what an overlay is. It's a Band-Aid, you know? I mean, you can't fix blacktop by putting an inch of blacktop over blacktop that's broken up, because it's not gonna last. That's why we grind streets, is to get that bad stuff up before we put stuff over it. So the proposal itself doesn't sound right to me, Richard. I don't think it's prudent to spend that kind of money on a patch. A job worth doing is worth doing right. And an overlay on a parking lot is not doing it right, in my opinion.
Yes, Councilor Delacio.
Thank you. Council Blair, you took some of what I was gonna say. I think with these parking lots, and I don't know, we need a tour. They're open parking lots. We can go down.
Anytime.
Anytime. I think repaving versus patch and pothole repair is something we, if it's that bad, we need to look at. I mean, especially in New England, putting one layer over it, spending $80,000, could realistically only last 1 year, depending upon how bad it truly is. Something we need to look at. I'm confused. Can you talk a little bit about, because my concern is the mayor's been critical of us kind of, not staying in our lane and interfering with the administration. So, and I'm not even trying to be adversarial. I'm just curious because a contractor's telling you that we need to get the council's approval to send it from, I've never seen it done like that. It just seems a little different. And I think with the floors were actually sent down initially, right?
With the parking lots.
Right?
They were bound together.
But they were sent down.
Yes.
Right? It wasn't just,
Yes.
okay, I'll go and look, right? They were sent down and, So I guess my question is, we're talking about $80,000 for a Band-Aid fix on parking lots. But then there was a question about 3,600 and change for the traffic measure device earlier. So what are we choosing to pay for? What aren't we choosing to pay for? And what's gonna be, again, that return on the investment? I really think that, perfect way to put it, a Band-Aid on a parking lot in New England, it's not gonna last. And then where are we 2 years from now? Are we having the same conversation? I think if we're gonna do it, we need to plan for it, and we need to be able to do it right, so we're not back here every 18 months or so.
So, Council Delicio, this discussion tonight is the conclusion to the dual measure that the mayor sent down before. Otherwise, we would not take this upon ourselves to go do it. So this is just the end of the follow-up of the gym parking lot measure that came down before. The work on the floors took 7 months, 8 months, and it went from a $400,000 project to a $560,000 project. The work on the parking lots only took a couple of weeks, and it went from 128,000 down to 80,000. But I'm hearing that maybe the process and the procedure is not right, because it's certainly not in line in the action that we took for the floors. Because the floors, we said, no, we don't want a short-term fix, we want a long-term fix. So, in the light of that, I think another discussion with Mark Furtado and the school committee and the resource committee and Mike Tyler and to determine whether or not this should go forward. So I'm glad we had this conversation tonight. I don't think that it's time to send a message up to the mayor for 80,000. I think it's time for me to do a little bit more work, and I'm happy to do that, to see what the rest of the story is on the lots. Okay? Any other discussion on lots?
Actually, I agree with what you just said then.
Good, good.
I think this is not the time to send it up.
Good. So that's all the business that I have to bring before the committee tonight. I'll call for a motion to adjourn at 7:48.
Second.
Thank you. Motions and all in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Call the Personnel and Human Services Committee together at 7:47. And from the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the following appointments to fill terms on the Youth Commission. Sarah Ribeiro, February 2022 term, expiration. Laura Santoro, to expire February 2023, and Owen Kobus, to expire February 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. My hope is that we will be meeting with all of the Youth Commission new members 2 weeks from today. We've approved a few other folks in January, and so I would hope we all meet together with them on the 11th. Is there any other discussion about this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And from the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I'll read this all as one motion. I entertain a motion to approve the following reappointments to positions and for terms as indicated. Rose Larson to the Attleboro Redevelopment Authority, 5 years, February 2025. Anthony Gowan, Board of Assessors, 3 years, February 2023. Joseph Parent, Board of Fire Commissioners, 3 years,
February 2023. Charles Oliver, the Board of Library Trustees, 3 years, February 2023. Deborah Leach, Board of Park Commissioners, 5 years, February 2025. Greg Bartek, Board of Recreation Commissioners, 3 years, February 2023. Brian Hatch, Conservation Commission, 3 years, February 2023. Vicki Nason, Council on Aging, 4 years, February 2024. Marion Aspinall, Council on Aging, 4 years, February 2024. Mary Flaherty, Council on Human Rights, 3 years, February 2023. Joan Lesperance, Council on Substance Abuse Prevention, 3 years, February 2023. Susan Jensen, Disability Commission, 3 years, February 2023. Edward Stanton, Municipal Building Commission, 3 years, February 2023. Michael Tyler, Municipal Building Commission, 3 years, February 2023. Jerry Fricott, Municipal Building Commission, 3 years, February 2023. Ryan DeLisio, Youth Commission, 3 years, February 2023. Kira Davis, Youth Commission, 3 years, February 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have reached all but one person that I couldn't reach by phone, and we'll follow up with that one person. They are all very interested in returning, and we're glad to be asked. Any thoughts? Any discussion? Thank you.
Hi, is that all of the reappointments now, or is there more coming?
One never knows.
That's true. I don't know the answer to that. But I can go ask.
I'm just curious, because normally this is the time of year we go through the reappointments that come up, so I'm curious to see if they're all being sent back down, or some being held.
Well, when we finish this business, I will go up and I will ask that question.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
I just want to let you know that there is a list that will tell you all the people who are on all the commissions and the boards, and
Right.
it'll tell you when they're expiring, so
I
you'll
have
be
that
able to
list.
see.
I
Yeah.
have that list, so I will peruse that
Give me a
list.
copy of that, would you please?
I will. I will.
That would be helpful to me personally.
I'll get you your own copy,
Thank you.
and for both of you. Absolutely. Anyways, all those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
And I'm in favor of 2, passes 3-0. And from the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the appointments of Mayor Paul Heroux and Council President Mark Cooper as representatives of the city on the Sturdy Memorial Hospital Board of Managers, subject to the confirmation of the mayor, terms to expire December of 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion of this? All those in favor?
Aye.
And I say aye. Passes. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to elect Virginia Stewart, 101 South Avenue, Attleboro, as Administrative Assistant to the Municipal Council for a term of 2 years, term to expire February 2022.
Second.
And I'm sure we'll all feel very positive about having Virginia. I certainly do. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we pass 3-0. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to elect Deborah Gould of 386, didn't bring my glasses, South Washington Street, North Attleboro, as auditor for a term of 2 years, term to expire February 2022.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, only that she's great and glad we got her.
I echo your sentiments entirely. All those in favor?
Aye.
I say aye, passes 3-0. That concludes the business of the Personnel and Human Services Committee. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. We'll meet at the next appropriate time.
I'd like to call Public Works Committee to order at 7:55. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the transfer of $5,500 from account 1124-1000-578-300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1650100-5583330 copier to purchase a Riccio copier for the Park and Forestry Departments.
Second.
Thank you. So I went in and visited Mr. Corsi, and the copier that they had been currently using, that was obtained through surplus, and that was the second one they've gotten through surplus. And the electrical tape that has been wrapped around it no longer will stick and hold together the doors, so it doesn't, it's just not, it's not operational whatsoever. And there is a need because they make copies for the park, forestry, and the zoo. So, any comments, please?
Vice President Jackson, just as a matter of practice, is the city in the habit of buying copiers versus leasing?
I believe we went through the leasing process at one point, but now we have been purchasing them. The big, huge one that we just got, I think that's, I don't know if that's actually called a copier, but they just got something for planning and land use, and we're leasing that one.
Is it dictated by price, you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to transfer $1,194.30 from account 1124100-578-300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1650100-54610 Park Supplies Ground to replenish funds used to purchase LED bulbs for the Balfour Riverwalk.
Second.
Thank you. So the bulbs have already been replaced. The ballasts were really bad. 1 out of 13 of the lights down at the Balfour Riverwalk were working. So they had, yep, how come I'm losing thought of his name? Anyways, they had an electrician come out and
Rick
take a look.
Correa.
Thank you very much, Rick Correa. And he took a look and he said, you're better off just replacing the whole bulb. So they did. So then that's already been done. So we're just replenishing the funds into the accounts. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. I entertain a motion, from the docket of March 3rd, 2020. I entertain a motion to transfer $4,000 from account 1124100-578-300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to the following accounts due to unexpected repairs in fiscal year 20. Account 1650100-5484040 Park Supplies Equipment, $2,000. Account 1650100-5483030 Park Supplies Vehicles, $1,000. And account 1650100-54610 Park Supplies Ground, $1,000.
Second.
Thank you. So they've had a lot of repairs that had to be done in the Parks Department, and they just they were using different funds, and they need to replenish because they still are they've got to finish out the year, and they wanted to have some money in that account because they did have major failure on some of their mowers and the cutting arms and as that nature. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Lastly, from the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to appropriate $13,145 from account 6000-359000 Wastewater Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account 6000-585051 Wastewater Enterprise Fund hydraulic lift to purchase and install a vehicle lift at the wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
Thank you. So I went down to meet with Mr. Hayes, Superintendent Hayes, and where their lift is in the building, I don't know if everybody's been on that tour and have been down in the building. So their lift is down in the back, and the floor that their lift is on, which their lift no longer is working, it failed inspection, and that was a 10,000-pound lift. This one he's getting is an 18,000-pound capacity, and it will lift up his F-350s, which is mostly what he does, and his 550. Nothing bigger than that. Whenever they have anything bigger than that, they send it over to Highway Yard, because Highway Yard has these big super duper 3 of them Those are heavy duty, for bigger heavy duty trucks. So this is basically just for the trucks that he works with all day. So then I went to the water department to take a look at what they have, and and this is what they have. They have an 18,000 pound capacity and a 12,000 pound capacity lift over there. He can't go any bigger because of the size of the room, because this building is 40 years old, and that's just how it's built. And the ground that it's actually on, the concrete, is only about this thick. And underneath that concrete, that's where he has his storage tanks for his chemicals. So they really can't go much heavier than that anyways. But he's happy to have something that's a little bit bigger that will hold up. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I have no further business this evening for the Public Works Committee. I'd like to ask for an adjournment at 8 o'clock.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8 p.m. Thank you.
Budget and appropriations is canceled tonight.
Zoning and land use is canceled for tonight. The senior, special committee for tax abatement review is also canceled for tonight.
I'd like to call License Committee to order at 8:01. I have 4 motions from the docket of March 3rd, 2020. I entertain a motion to approve the application for a scrap metal recycler junk dealer license from Prolarize New England Company, LLC, DBA Schnitzer Northeast at 136 Bacon Street, Attleboro.
Second.
So, we all know what Schnitzer is and where it is and what they do. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of February 18th, 2020, I move to approve the application for a Class 2 license to amend existing license for 97 Emery Street LLC, located at 97 Emery Street with 7 customer spaces and 30 display spaces.
Second.
So if we all remember the public hearing,
Right.
this is right up the street, and they were just amending it. They can afford to have more cars.
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of February 4th, 2020, I move to approve the application for a license for flammable and combustible liquids, flammable gases, and solids for BJ's Gas Station at 463 Washington Street, 643 Washington Street, and 0 Summit Street.
Second.
So everybody remembers the public hearing?
Yeah.
With all the easels? Does anybody have any questions, any discussion, anything?
No, I thought they did a very solid job.
And I have all the paperwork for everything that we need. I already went through zoning, and I have the fire signature and everything. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And I have one more from the docket of December 3rd, 2019. I entertain a motion to approve the application for a Class 2 auto license for Lean's Auto Repair, Inc. at 141 Pine Street with 7 customer parking spaces and 29 display spaces.
Yeah. Second.
I'm not sure if we remember this Peter's old place. They were a little bit of a mess.
Yes.
I went down there yesterday at 4 o'clock, and everything looks great. They worked really hard. They discovered everything. They had an oil leak, and they had oil tanks, and they had to clean, it was a mess. They had a lot of stuff going on, which I felt bad for, but, they're really great people, and I went down there yesterday, and it looks really good. So, anybody have any questions?
No?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't
That's
see
all
you.
right.
Oh.
I was just gonna thank you, Laura, because I do use Pine Street quite often, and I get a little flooded when I go by it, but they've done a great job cleaning it up. It's real organized now.
Yeah,
I've met the people a couple times, and I think it was more or less they didn't know what was expected of them when they first come in.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
appreciate you.
thanks, yeah, I think they just had a lot of stuff from their other place,
Yeah.
and, they just maybe didn't expect to have to do everything so quickly, and,
Yeah, I don't think they knew what was expected.
Yeah, and so they, I've been working with her, going back and forth, and they've done everything that I've asked. And,
Looks
and,
good.
yeah, and it looks good over there. So, did I don't think I called for a vote, did I? Before Peter was second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And that's all the business I have tonight. I'd like to call for an adjournment at 8:05.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'd like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 8:04. I have two motions this evening. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to accept the offer of $3,500 from Moran's Inc. to purchase property the city declared available for disposition on Frank Mossberg Drive, specified as Lot A, is shown on the plan entitled Street Discontinuance Plan of Land in Attleboro, Mass., prepared by John D. Bremser, PLS of Hancock Associates, 183 Center Street, Danvers, Mass. 01923, dated April 8th, 2019.
Second.
Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Anybody have any questions regarding this? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those in favor? Okay. Okay, that motion passes. From the docket of March 3rd, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor and the Attleboro Retirement Board regarding the need to approve a motion to petition the general court to enact the following legislation designed to amend the provisions of Chapter 32, Section 42B and 42C, solely as they apply to Walter L. Girton, to enable him to continue to receive his current monthly pension based upon 32 years of credible service, as previously determined by the Retirement Board and used to establish his present monthly pension calculation of $5,832.54, meaning and intending to have this statutory provision date back to November 17th, 2017, the date of retirement, provided that the legislature may reasonably vary the form and substance of the requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of the petition. I support the pursuit of a whole rule petition with the general court to enact the following legislation at the request of the Attleboro Contributory Retirement Board. An act relative to the amendment of MGL C-32, Section 42B and 42C, solely as they relate to the calculation of Walter L. Guerin's pension. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives in general court assembled and by the authority of the same as follows. Section 1. Notwithstanding the provisions of MGL C-32, Section 42B, regulations require the registration by owners of mobile home parks.
To everybody, you know, we have people that are living in mobile homes that are paying as much as if they were paying a mortgage. You know, I have a woman that I speak to, and her sister has a house, and she lives in a mobile park. Her sister has a house. She says she pays just as much as she pays for her mortgage. So, you know, I definitely support it. And thanks for all your work. You did great on it. You did a lot of work, both of you.
Any other comments or questions? So this will be before us next week, and then it will again go to the administration. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. That's all the business this evening for this committee. I'll call for an adjournment.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. I know, this is with the city solicitor.